Welcome along to a very special video of mine. I'm going to take a break from the usual tutorials and Ableton shenanigans and instead in this video cover everything I've learned from 10 million streams on Spotify. So I made a video mid-August listening to my old songs from 2009 when I first started producing to 2015, but I kind of didn't cover 2015 to 2020. So I said it's time sensitive, and yeah, it really is. I just hit 10 million streams a few weeks ago. Yeah, I'm not talking out of my ass. Take my word for it. No, I'll actually show you the stats and everything. So just quickly where I left off from that last video, in 2015 I started a new alias called Oddchat, where I decided to make a very niche genre called electro swing, basically morphing modern electro house with old big bang swing from like the 1930s, 1940s and jazz elements and stuff like that. They blend together quite lovely. Like I said, it's a niche scene, so I started making this new genre, electro swing, just uploading tracks to YouTube, etc. I did that for like a year and a bit, and eventually started uploading my first stuff from Oddchat onto Spotify in 2016 or 17. Oh, I can fucking see down there. Like, yeah, 2016, 2017, etc, etc. And yeah, just been posting music under that alias ever since. Obviously you can see, like I said before, this video is all about the things I've learned from 10 million streams on Spotify. I'll give you my tips and tricks, etc, etc. So number one, the thing that has definitely helped me the most is playlists under Spotify. Editorial, algorithmic, user playlists. Yeah, they're all just super helpful. Honestly, playlists are super key. Let's do since 2015. Obviously, this might go without saying, this is the stuff that has worked for me, not necessarily anybody else. So if you don't know, editorial playlists are made by our editorial team based on music trends and data. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that means people made playlists, but the people are the team at Spotify. Obviously, you can see 3 million streams made up of one in particular editorial playlist, which I've been on quite a few times now. Super helpful. If you take that into account of my overall streams of 10 million, I mean 3 million is basically a third, so that is super awesome. Editorial playlists are where it's at. They're awesome, and what's even more awesome is you can submit your own music too. This sounds like a sponsored post. I promise you I'm not. I think a year or so ago, Spotify opened up the floodgates and you can actually submit your own music to their teams, and then they will listen to it, and then based on their trends and data, and if it fits a particular playlist, then they'll put the music on the playlist. And how you do this is you go into music, click upcoming, and if you've got something scheduled for release, I've actually got something here for something else. So I'd say you want a good time period, like 2 weeks to a month before the release date of your song, and that is when you send it off to the distributor, so 2 to 4 months from distributor to actual release date. And then hopefully in a few days you'll see your song here. You can just go pitch a song, and then you can fill out this form/info sheet on what your track is all about. So when the editors listen to your song, they can check this as well, and then roughly figure out if your music could belong on one of the many playlists that they make. I gotta say, even though once you've filled out this form and submit it, not all songs get picked, obviously. Since they've opened up the floodgates to this option to get onto the editorial playlist, a lot of producers, musicians, bands are filling out this form to increase their chances. So sit tight. If you got a banging song and you fill out this form, you'll improve your chances to getting onto one of those editorial playlists. The second playlist thing, which has kind of helped me heaps over the years, is the algorithmic playlist. Nobody knows too much about it. It's not just like 1 + 1 = 2. It's just like, it's a fucking algorithm at the end of the day. So playlist created for listeners based on their taste using crowdsourcing and data. Don't really know too much about how this works. The only one I do know is the release radar, and that is when somebody follows your music on Spotify and you release a tune, the next Friday or whatever, your song should end up on your audience's release radar, which is just like a release radar of all the new music that came out that Friday, and hopefully your songs should be on it for your audience if they're following you. But yeah, I'm gonna make the fattest assumption. I'm assuming the algorithm comes down to 2 things. I wrote these down. Number one, I'm assuming what helps is listeners listening to your tracks heaps over and over again. This should help get onto their on repeat. Then eventually it might hop onto their end of year playlist, your top songs 2018 or 19, or in this case 2020. So yeah, when it comes down to radio, your daily mix, discover weekly, I got another few assumptions on that. I'm assuming, let's say you have a fan, their name is Fan A. Let's say they really like your stuff and listen to your music over and over again. Turns out there's also a fan called Fan B that has very similar music taste to Fan A. And then so I'm assuming what happens is Spotify will help push your music onto Fan B in the form of radio, your daily mix, discover weekly, to introduce them to your music, since Fan A likes it, and obviously Fan A and Fan B share similar music taste. So I'm assuming that's how it works, and then it's just a continuous snowball effect. Obviously I could be wrong though, but that seems the most logical thing based on their like music taste and data and trends and things like that. And lastly, listener-based playlists. Playlist made by, yeah, you guessed it, listeners. The good thing about these playlists is since they're made by a user instead of Spotify, you can't exactly reach out to Spotify and be like, hey, check out my new song. If you like it, maybe consider it for your playlist. But you can do it with listener-based playlists. Streaming wise, if you look at the numbers compared to like the editorial or the algorithmic, not as high since Spotify obviously loves to push their own playlists, but definitely never underestimate the listener-based playlists as well. If you can find playlists that have a really substantial audience and have fans that are constantly listening to that, and then if you can find their contact and hit them up, I mean, that's just a gold mine right there. So yeah, not too much to say about the listener-based playlists, but the listener, editorial, algorithmic playlists are super, super key. So yeah, if I look at the 10 million streams as a whole and look at the sources of the streams, 37% has come from Spotify editorial playlists. Banging! Submit those tunes, get them to Spotify. Definitely try to do it every single time. You can't submit old songs, only new songs that are upcoming, because Spotify wants to push new music. 14% with the algorithmic playlist and 30% of the listeners' own playlists and libraries. Alright, we definitely covered playlists there. Moving on to the second point, which is releasing consistent music. That is so important. This graph or whatever, if I didn't release consistent music, would be like up and down all over the place, instead of like a consistent increasing line, which it is now, thankfully. Because I mean, A, the more music you make, the better you're gonna get at it, and B, the more music you release as well, the more opportunities are going to come out of it and more people discover it, etc, etc. So releasing consistent music, I don't want to dwell on it too much because it's kind of states what it is, but yeah. And one of the things which I want to dive upon quickly is pay promotion techniques. There are so many services and shit out there, which is just like pay to get 10,000 streams, pay to get 100,000 streams, pay to get this amount of followers, pay to get on this playlist. Do not buy plays or streams. Even though if it looks cheap and appetizing, just never pay for streams or followers. It's just like numbers at the end of the day that don't actually reflect your fan base at all. And Spotify getting pretty smart with it, the same way YouTube can remove like bot followers and shit like that. Spotify can do that as well. There's quite a few pay to promote services out there, but if it's just like a number game like $5 for 10,000 streams, just stay away from that. If it's pay to get on a specific playlist, do heaps of research around that company or that playlist. Look into the songs on the playlist and see what the mix of songs are like, if they're like really good or really bad, etc, etc. Be super skeptical of playlist promotion, and if you are looking to pay to promote on specific playlists or whatever, don't go balls deep straight away to get like $100 investment to get on the specific playlist which is gonna get you this amount of streams. Just like test the waters, do the lowest amount possible to see what the playlist is all about and see what kind of streams they are and where they're coming from in particular. That's also super suspicious if they just come from one place. Definitely do your research before diving into that. The one place I have paid to promote before is using Facebook ads. There's quite a few Spotify courses out there like how to boost your Spotify audience, and I have done a couple before just to see what they're like, but I think most of them look into Facebook ads as a way to promoting your music. So when I went down the Facebook ads way, it's definitely a long-term game, let's say that, because you know how much Spotify pays out per stream versus how much it's gonna cost to get like one listener through Facebook. The numbers aren't making a great return on investment straight away. I think I roughly spent like 70 New Zealand dollars, so that's 45-ish US dollars. And so with that, I could target people who like electro swing and live in the kind of countries that are streaming my music the most, like around here. So yeah, I spent 70 New Zealand dollars on that, made a pretty cool Facebook ad, got 400 clicks to my Spotify profile. So I don't really know what happened after that, whether they like clicked off straight away, just played one song, played 100, but I did the maths on it. Assuming all those 400 people streamed one of my songs once, I would make $1.52, that's US, so New Zealand it's roughly like $2 for every $70 that I spent on the Facebook ad. So the number's kind of like, yeah, nah. But like I said before, if I made like a super fan who streamed my shit so many times and just like loved all my music and like gonna be a super supportive fan for the rest of their lives, and then they come to shows and shit, the $70 is definitely worth it in the end. So playlists, releasing music, and pay to promotion techniques, kind of three main areas of it. Another thing I wanted to cover in this video is to break down my top 10 most streamed songs and then shed some light on where all these streams came from for these top 10 performing tracks. So number one, Day and Night, heaps of editorial playlist action. I got on that main electro swing one which we saw before and stayed there for a long time. Number two, I'd say that's a good mix of the editorial playlist and another solid listener-made playlist. Number three, editorial and listener-based playlist. Number four, editorial and listener-based playlist. Number five, that is released through a label. 90% of my music is self-release, so I had a little bit of label help with that, and then got on the editorial playlist and many other user-based playlists. Number six, editorial playlist. Number seven, I had a banging YouTube video which helped with that, and I think they got a little bit of time on the editorial playlist and quite a few listens through other listeners' playlists, etc, etc. Number eight, that would be listeners playlist. Number 9, that was used on a YouTuber's intro or outro. And number 10, also used on a YouTuber's intro and outro. But the main thing to take away here, ladies and gentlemen, is that editorial playlists are key. Get on that, submit your music to them. They help so much. There's one thing I want you to take away from that video after watching this. I want you to be like this and be like, damn, that Antidote audio odd chat dude. Editorial playlist is where it's at. I need to get my shit on that. So yeah. Worth mentioning a couple of things as well. Like I said before, I release 90% of my music self-release independently. I've got no way to really track it through the Spotify for Artists page, but I'd say YouTube has a big part of playing in that. I think my first initial spike around here, not this one in particular, but like around here, was getting on a quite well-known YouTuber artist channel, and getting on YouTube promo channels and music channels, etc. does contribute to some of these spikes here. I'd say like a lot of YouTube activity through whether it be my own odd chat channel or other music channels that have uploaded my music definitely contribute to like the steady flow of people checking out my music on Spotify, since they were there from YouTube and Spotify could be their preferred streaming platform. If I had to break down the spikes here, I'd be saying that was when I released an EP that did quite well. December, I did an album there. This spike, I got a song that got released on an editorial playlist and a few user playlists. That's a New Year's spike. I'm assuming people were jamming electro swing on New Year's, so maybe. Released another EP there. Didn't release anything for a while, hence the downward slope. Then started to release music and there. And then around this spike, collectively landed quite a few listener playlists and stuff like that at the same time. And that kind of triggered the Spotify algorithmic playlist as well. It's kind of a bit like YouTube at the end of the day. The more people that like watch your video, they're gonna push it out to more and more people who have similar interests. So Spotify is just doing that as well. I guess to wrap up this video, it makes sense to cover my top tips from the stuff I've talked about previously in this video. I think you know which one of them is gonna be. Submit your stuff to editorial playlists if you've got a planned release coming up. Make sure you allow yourself enough time from when the distributor sends it to Spotify to the actual release date. Probably even a good idea at that point to have your music like planned to be released 3 to 6 weeks in the future. So you have heaps of time to fill out that form in the upcoming section in your music tab for Spotify for Artists. Second thing is to try get in contact with different playlist owners who have like a really banging playlist. If it's got like 100,000 listeners or whatever and you could see your music getting onto that, see if you can find a contact for the playlist owner somewhere. And quite a few have like a submit to this email address, which makes things super easy for you. Third thing is to release music consistently. Fourth thing is to feed all your like social media, whether it be YouTube descriptions, Instagram bios, Facebook about sections, Spotify, the right hand side tab, Twitter bios, etc. Make sure all those possible like potential link areas are linking to your Spotify. Makes sense, more opportunities, more people that stumble across your Instagram like, oh, they're making music, check that out. So all about them opportunities. I can't remember what I want to. If you are going down the page of remote options, maybe it's a good idea to look into Facebook ads, because I mean you can target people based on literally anything, like their musical interests, their location, etc, etc. It's still kind of creepy in that way, but it's beneficial for you, for the artist, if you want people checking out your music. Don't go hard with a huge ad campaign budget and then realize you're not going to make all that money back on stream straight away. So yeah, do the research around Facebook ads, see if it's worthwhile, see if you want to kind of invest in that long-term potential fan base. There's heaps of Spotify Facebook ad courses out there which cover it in way more detail than me and actually show you how to set up that campaign. But yeah, so if you are going down that route, definitely do your research first. But yeah, maybe look into your actual song and see what elements you got into it which makes people want to listen to it more and more. Just really dive deeper into the makeup of your song and where your streams are coming from. If I were to be completely honest with myself, pull up my top 10 songs and try to figure out why the songs did better than all my other songs, I would say, I mean, you got to be self-aware and figure out what resonates your song with the listeners. Day and Night, yeah, that had heaps of playlist coverage. Why was it picked up by playlists? It is just a classic electro swing song. It's got quite a lot of variation in it. To the Batcave, similar to Day and Night, just I guess like a classic electro swing song. Cheek to Cheek, that's got vocals in it. Swing Hop can resonate the feel-good vibes with heaps of people. Button Up, another vocal song. Fifth, I think that was my best song and I had a hunch that it was going to do really well, and it also had vocals in it. 6 has vocals in it. 7, another classic electro swing song, got on quite a few YouTube channels and shit like that. That's probably what led it to playlist coverage and stuff like that in Spotify. 8 got on a few YouTube channels yet again. Vocal choppy, Halloween themed. Not my most complex song, but it's just easy to listen to, I guess, maybe why it did so well. Number 9, that kind of blew all expectations out the window. It was a lot heavier song than what I was doing at the time, so I didn't expect that to do well. Just did, and then it landed on YouTube stuff. 10, YouTube stuff yet again, and classic electro swing sound. So if I was looking to the future for making my next few songs, I'd be like, well, the classic electro swing sound does really well, the vocals over the track does really well, and just get a song really polished and really well done, and then it hopefully should do really well. That would be like a strategic breakdown to potentially making my next song do really well, etc, etc. But at the end of the day, it's just music. I'm gonna have fun, I'm gonna make whatever the fuck I want, and I'm gonna be happy about it. That's the main thing. And that concludes the video. Let's see what Skrillex is doing actually. Oh, get the fuck out of here. Nah. Ego check. Boom. I'm gonna stay humble in 2 seconds. Look to see what Spotify's doing. Or any other. Ed Sheeran. Let Ed Sheeran bangs on Spotify. I think Ed Sheeran's the most streamed. Oh my god. Almost 70 million in a day. Fuck, what's he on? 10 mil a day. Oh my goodness. But yeah, that is the key things I've learned from 10 million streams on Spotify. Very grateful for those 10 million streams. That number completely blows my mind away. It's just a crazy feeling. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a big thumbs up on the video. It would mean a lot. And back to the Ableton shenanigans. Oh, classic. Oh, that is beautiful. I'll see you guys there. Have a great day and peace.